Welcome to the Real Estate Operator podcast. My name is Steve Olson, founder of Real Estate Operator, joined by my close friend and also growth director here at Stoli Network, Matt Marino. Let me give Matt a really quick intro because I think it's really important that you guys understand that the people that we are talking to, both within this podcast and outside of it, we only want to bring you people that actually know what they're doing, have done it before, and can give you insights that matter. So Matt is the CEO of Kind Real Estate Company. He's a growth director here at Stoli Network. Matt has also coached 24 agents in the past 2 years. He's opened 2 Real Broker physical offices. You have 2 offices right now?
We do. Montgomery and Bucks County in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. And is growing in the Philadelphia region. In the past 12 months, Matt has helped agents go from 6 transactions a year, which is 1 every 2 months, to 3 transactions per month through building their own brand, which we're going to talk a lot about that today. Most people think that building a brand and follow-up, the main thing that we're going to talk about today, are 2 different things. And I think that what they're going to learn from hearing from you today is that they're really one and the same. And in fact, the people that really go after the brand at a high level, like follow-up gets 100% easier. So, welcome to the podcast, Matt.
Thanks, Steve.
Awesome. Okay, let's get into it. The first year the team was in business, doing 140 transactions a year and $60 million in volume. What was it like before that in regards to, like, were you a solo agent? Was it a small team? Did you rebrand? What was life like before that team?
Yeah, so I was a solo agent with a different brokerage, and then I had an opportunity to transfer over to a separate brokerage than that and started our team. So I was a solo agent, moved brokerages, saw an opportunity to create a little bit of leverage for our team and in our life here. So that's when we decided to start the team.
Okay, and it's totally cool to say Real. Like, I think Real is the greatest brokerage in the world, and it's not for everybody. For the people that it is for,
Definitely.
it's like it's life changing, right? I'm somebody who's been very successful at multiple brokerages, and people think it's just a facade, but I will tell you, it is 10 times easier to do business at Real amongst all the other ones. So totally okay saying that.
Awesome.
What does the team look like now, size wise?
So
How many
right now
people?
we have 13 agents right now.
Okay, cool.
And to be honest with you, Steve, at the beginning of 2024, so just about a year ago now, we kind of blew the team up. We had 18 agents, and there's a lot of fluff. I couldn't operate at my highest use and really help the people that I wanted to help, so we blow the whole thing up, and I started over with 3 agents. So now we're back up to 13.
I've done that twice. Many people don't know this. They always see like the rise or the journey or whatnot. But one time when I was young, in 20s, I sent an email to the whole team and said, "Hey, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. I've sold my part of the brokerage. We're going, here." And it was between you and I, the total wrong way to do it. Like I just didn't see another way out. And I wish I could redo it. Right, all those people that were on that team.
You sent the breakup email. You sent a breakup email
to the entire brokerage.
team?
Listen to this. While I was in the office, and then they were also in the office as well. And so I hit send, and my wife walks in and she goes, "Right now?" And I said, "Yeah, right now." And then all of a sudden they're like, "What is this about it?" And and in that moment I'm like, okay, probably could have handled this a little bit better, right? But it was one of those and I think everybody goes through it. If you're in the real estate business right now and on a weekly, monthly, half year or quarterly basis, if you're not thinking of quitting, number one, you're either not pushing yourself hard enough, or B, you're not doing enough transactions, because
Sure.
this business, it'll take you from like your best day in the world to your worst day in the world in 24 hours. And that's what makes
Really
it great.
quick.
That's also, that's also why we get paid what we get paid, right? And you can make the argument that most agents are not making what they should make, and there are a select few that make a ton. And I think that's what makes the industry great. Okay. I got licensed in February of 2007. I tell you that because it's really important. My whole family is entrepreneurs. My parents are police officers, but everybody else they're either in real estate or they're in property management, so I never really had like a true center of influence. I didn't have friends that I could call. I was in advertising before. A lot of those guys, it's very common for people in advertising to get into real estate. That was very common, like growth trajectory or whatever you want to call it back then. So when I got in the business, I didn't have the luxury of calling my family and friends and saying, "Hey, would you like to buy real estate?" So I have always developed a business that is pretty null or pretty ignorant of a COI-based business. Now, that would be a mistake, right? But back then, I never really had the opportunity to do it. So we always went on the hardcore, what are the activities that I can do every single day to generate inbound opportunities, whether that's Facebook leads or Google ads or open houses. I never really did door knocking. I did call expires and FSBOs for probably a year. Actually had a lot of success with it. I didn't have the energy to keep going. I'm really comfortable on the phone, but it was like every day, I just had to like psych myself out, and it just wasn't worth it. Right. So when I say a year, it may only been like 7 months, and maybe my old team leader, Kelly Williams, will tell me it was like 41 days. I don't know, but it felt like a year. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what I learned really quickly is that all the wealth is in the follow-up. It's not in the generation. So, I mean, you're in the same Facebook groups than I am, and people would say like, I'm looking for bottom funnel leads or top of funnel leads, or Facebook leads are terrible and Zillow leads are great, and they have all these things. And it's not that any of that is not true. It's that without great follow-up, none of it's true, right? So Today I want to talk about follow-up, and I think to go from a team that was struggling and required a reset, like you just said, to a team that in its first year does 140 transactions, like I think an agent can probably, correct me if I'm wrong, I think an agent probably can do 2 deals a month with no systems, meaning
I would agree.
Everything's in their head, it's in their email, post-it notes, whatever, and they'd probably be okay.
Yep.
At 3 deals a month, 4 deals a month, 5 deals a month without a system, you could probably do a couple months. But then they're going to say, oh, well, I deserve some time off. Let me go on vacation. I've worked really hard. And then the cycle starts all over, right? So when we were preparing for this earlier today, I wrote something down, and I want to go deep on it. We were talking about conversions, specifically how to convert, what to convert, when to convert, why to convert, all that stuff. And what I wrote down was brand is the easiest path to conversion.
Sure.
I know that you guys rely on brand a lot. Can you describe, like, what does it mean for an agent to have a brand, and how can they use that in follow-up? Like, what does that mean to somebody who's never really thought about it that way?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we tell our agents that they are the brand, right? I mean, we're Kind Real Estate Company, but each individual agent on our team has their own brand, and we try to do anything we can to lean in on that. So, a lot of these leads are coming in, and think about the journey of a lead. They're coming in. A lot of times they just clicked on, hey, more information or a mortgage calculator, or want to schedule a showing, and then their doors getting bombarded with calls from agents, not realizing what they kind of opted in at, right? So anything that we can do to stand out and just kind of just get the prospect to answer us from the very beginning and just start a conversation and start a dialogue, that's our number one goal. And we find that getting our agents' faces in front of these prospects and leads is a very, very good way to start. So the very first thing that we do, obviously we're calling speed to lead, seeing if we can get in touch with these prospects, but then right away we're hanging up and we're sending them a video text with our face, introducing ourselves, just trying to kind of eliminate the sales resistance and have an actual normal conversation and meet them where they're at in the process. And we're finding that, if we get our face in front of them and we let them know we're local in the community, we get a lot better of a response than if we just keep hammering and trying to call them. Because eventually, Steve, what happens, natural human instinct, even if they want to talk to us, they're like, oh, shit, I ignored this person for 10 phone calls. I can't answer now, right? So it's like we just try to hit them with texts, hit them with video texts, and then emails where we have our face on it as well. So we want them to know, above anything else, we're local, we're real humans, we're not in some call center. We are the ones that's going to be meeting them at the properties, helping them through the process, and we want to get that out there right away. So any way that we can get our face, our personality in front of them from the very first opportunity, that's what we're trying to do.
You said something right there with the, I've never really thought about follow-up that way. Like there's kind of a point of no return, right? We've called so much and they're like, well, if I answer now, I look like an idiot for ghosting them all these other calls.
It's like,
yeah, it is
exactly.
Weird. But I had an agent on my team in Phoenix, and Nate, I think this was you if you're watching this. And I remember Nate would like go to a restaurant or whatever. He'd be at happy hour and he would take a selfie of himself on his phone and say, hey, I'm here. Have you ever eaten here before? And he would just start texting the picture to leads. And then we were thinking, like, you can't do that. Like, that's not part of the book. And he goes, but it's the number one way people respond to me. And I said, okay, say no more, right? If it opens up the conversation, because that really is phase one. Phase one is not to get an appointment. Phase one is to get acknowledgement, right? Because without acknowledgement, there is no warm up, there is no rapport, there is no trust, there is no likability without acknowledgement. And You could probably get to an appointment without all of that stuff, but it's going to be really hard. And chances are that appointment's going to end in them saying something like, "Oh, well, you've given us a lot to think about. Thank you so much." And, we'll call you back. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you're like, oh, and then we think like, well, I didn't say enough. I should have said more. And has nothing to do with the amount of stuff that you said. It's how they were positioned before that appointment happened.
Yeah.
You mentioned video, text messages. Like, give me an example of what an agent would do.
So a lead comes in, Steve, I call, they don't answer right away. I'm just sending a text, and it is literally like, "Hey Steve, this is Matt Marino, Kind Real Estate Company. Saw that you were just checking out some properties on our website here. I just want to know how I can best help you. We're local. We have an office right here in Doylestown, so let me know. I'll follow up quickly with an email in case that's a better way to communicate with you." Right? That's it. Like something something like that. Takes 10 seconds.
And do you send... Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Yep. No, that's it. I was done.
Is there like an intro text that you put? Like, do you say like, watch this video, or you just full blown send the video and let it rip?
We're just sending the video, and then we're gonna send another follow up email, also referencing that text message as well. So yeah, it really starts with just getting our face in front of them, being a normal human, coming off as likable as you possibly can. And like I said, I think it's very important to just meet the prospect where they are, so they feel like they have permission to not speed up their process and really go at it at their pace.
It would be interesting if we could run like a legit survey. And I don't know how you would do this, but if you ran a survey to everybody who was thinking about buying a home and just ask them, like, what is your overall feedback in the initial like fact-finding phase of buying real estate as it pertains to talking with real estate agents? Do they feel that they're like super aggressive? Do they feel the communication is too much or too little? And just thinking about this right now, I don't even know if a consumer could answer the question of like how much info and knowledge is actually out there without a real estate agent. You and I have been doing this for a long time. We just believe that everything's out there. But I told this story a while ago. I have a friend who lives in Scottsdale. Her and her husband do very, very well monetarily. They live in a very, very nice house. They're on home number, I want to say 4, maybe 3 or 4. And we were talking, this is about a year ago. And she goes, you know what? When we buy our next home, we're going to buy it for cash. And I said, is that like, are you thinking that you want to get a discount, or why would you buy it for cash? And he goes, well, we just want the seller to get all their money at like when we close, so they'd be willing to negotiate. And it completely went over my head when she said that. And then when we're talking, I'm like, wait, you said that you want them to get all their money at close. Yeah, if we pay their cash, they get all the money at close. Whereas if we got a mortgage, they take it in payments. And that was so interesting that she said that. And I said, no, that's not how it works. Whether you get a mortgage or cash, they got all their funds at. And she just looked at me. She goes, oh my gosh, that actually sounded stupid coming. And it's not stupid. The point is like sometimes logic like sets in, and we just have these beliefs that, so I totally get all of that stuff, right?
I agree. And it's really like, that's part of the discovery, right? Like we have leads come in that have a certain set of criteria that they don't really know what they're asking for, right? Like, for example, we just had someone come in and it was an absolute deal breaker, necessity. They said they needed a multifamily and an in-law suite. They really just thought an in-law suite meant it was a multifamily, right? So like the prospects, the leads that are looking for multifamilies, it's a lot of young investors, maybe want to house hack something. This is a normal family, just needed an in-law suite. But they thought that was referred to as a multifamily, so they're out here telling every agent that they talk to, yeah, I'm looking for multifamilies, and an agent that's not having the conversation and taking the time to really just connect with them and discover what they're really going for, probably has them on an auto search for, every investment property in the county right now. And that's not what they're going for at all.
My daughter, who's 11, her friend was over. We were eating dinner last night, and they start laughing over Elf on the Shelf, because it's about that time where all the elves show up and all that. And she asked whoever she asked for, Santa or prayed, or I don't know how she asked for this, but she said, I want a baby pink female elf. And so the elves show up, I guess, the other day, and it's got 2 adult elves, and there's a pink baby elf in the arm of the mom. And she's like, no, oh my gosh, I didn't want a baby. I wanted the color baby pink in the elf. And so it's like, Jenny's like, well, that's the use of a comma. If you move the comma,
Yep.
So I think real estate's kind of the same thing, right? We Google things, and then we find things, and we just believe this is the way it is. There was a survey that somebody did, like, Forbes or something like that, Fortune, and they asked a whole bunch of people questions about earnest money and down payment. And the average person, this was pre-COVID, right? So I'm sure it's gotten better since then. But pre-COVID, the average person thought you needed like 34.3% down on a home to buy a home. And like, again, I've been licensed since February of 2007. I've always thought the number was 20. Yes, I know there's 0 and there's 3 and there's 5 and 7 and 10 and, but I always thought the standard number was 20. Mm-hmm. And so to think that there are people even nowadays that are thinking that number is well in the 30s tells you there's still like such an opportunity for content marketing and follow-up. Like, just if you're the one that gives them the most amount of education, I have to imagine that alone will win more than everybody else.
I totally agree. And that's what I mean by meet them where they are. Give them permission to actually go through the process, take their time, get the information they're looking for, and not feel like someone's breathing down their back saying, hey, when are we going to actually put an offer in the house, right? If we can figure out a way to, people, like you said, people love the bottom of the funnel leads that are ready to go. I love them up here. If I can get them up here and kind of coach them and educate them, they're not those clients. Those are the sticky clients, right? And those are the ones that we end up really enjoying working with, as opposed to someone that just comes in and they want us to open a door and they say, hey, let's put an offer in. Obviously that happens a lot, but those are the people that we find, maybe they go and see 2 other houses with another realtor the next week and you don't have no clue about it, right? It's like, I'd much rather start working with someone when it's not too late, when they already don't think they know everything. And because I find a lot of prospects, it's almost like they have an ego about them, like, oh, I need to show Matt that I do have a certain knowledge of the industry, whereas like that's not your guy's job. That's our job, right? So
that's right.
I love coaching people through the process all the way.
I mean, I think that plays to ego, right? Nobody wants to feel like they're an idiot and they want to,
Yep.
But sometimes holding strong to that is the very, I'm sure you've lost deals before. I lost a huge, going back to multifamily, a huge deal. And it was the last day of the inspection period. This was in Phoenix, Arizona. And there was a discrepancy. Half of the heaters, this was a 48 unit building. If you could believe this, during the downturn, Matt, 48 unit, it was $1.6 million for 48 freaking units, right? Mm-hmm. And so I told my buyer, I was on the buy side, and I said, look, the inspections don't matter. Sure, we don't want to walk into $1 million repair, but I'm telling you, all you have to do is keep it like this is for 5 years, and I can triple your money. This is so distressed, it's not even funny. Well, a couple days before the inspection period is over, for one reason or the other, this is the middle of summer, so it didn't matter. All of the furnaces on the top, the air handlers, were disconnected from the gas lines. So when we sent a roof inspector up there, the roof was fine. The roof inspector said, hey, of the 40-something units, like 15 or so of them, their gas lines are disconnected from the air handler. It's weird. I don't know why, but he goes, it could have just been some idiot going up there and disconnecting, or there could be an issue. So we went back to the seller, and the seller didn't have any idea about it. And he goes, I'll go up there and get it fixed, but we're not going to extend the inspection period. And we couldn't get an HVAC company up there. So we wanted an inspection. Seller was being super, whatever. My buyer was being, just as difficult. And like literally at 11:50 something p.m., the night of the, deadline of the inspection, my buyer just said, look, I don't have to buy this, and tell him to go pounds. And the whole deal fell apart. And I could give you the address right now. And if you would have, I said 3 times in 5 years, it would have been the most crazy 5 to 7 year ROI ever on multi and over ego. And like, I've done this so many times before. This is not normal. Millions of dollars he lost on that. I'll tell you that much.
That's insane.
So your agent send a video text and, hey, it's Steve Olson, want to put a face name, blah, blah, blah. What percentage, and I know like nobody knows these stats like 100% accurate, but is that the most effective piece of follow-up they do, or what happens after that?
We usually, to be honest with you, we don't get a ton of interaction from that. Not, probably the average percentages that you would expect on a response rate from that. Where we really see the difference is when we're then following up with an email with our face on it, kind of offering them some sort of value and then referencing that text message. And then we have a really good turnaround rate with that, getting either a response to the email or them actually responding to the text message after that. So it's, and it's way different than just continuing to call and saying, hey, I saw you registered on your website. First of all, don't tell anyone they registered on your website, because chances are they didn't mean to, and they're going to automatically get pissed off at you, right? So we're trying to offer them any sort of value, show them, prove to them we're the local experts. So Vidyard is one huge tool that we use. I learned that from Steve, from you, Steve. And we go in there after we send that text, about a half hour after, we'll just we'll put our face on the screen in one side, and we'll just kind of hover over options in the area on our back-end system and maybe say something like, hey, Steve, I know I haven't gotten in touch with you yet. I just shot you a text message. I wanted to pull the curtain back for you and let you know what we see on our end. Sometimes I'll even pull up the MLS. Just something that they don't have access to on their own, and just pulling back the curtain a little bit and saying, hey, we're here. This is what we have access to. You can see I can change this search criteria to whatever we want. Let me know whatever's good for you so I can actually send you some stuff that's relevant for you. Right? And then after that email, we're seeing that we're getting a pretty good response rate, like I said, to either that or at least the text message. Whether it's good or bad, to be honest with you, I get a lot of responses after that email like, hey, man, I just clicked on this. I don't have $1 to my name. I clicked on $1 million house. I'm out, right? Like, so, and a lot of times that's just as valuable, right? The people that are going to waste your time and energy are the people in the middle. So move them to green or move them to red, but either way, you gotta get them somewhere.
You know, I think there's two things. I think sending that first video text, whether they get a response or not, I think the value in that is when the second piece of follow-up, and I think this is what you're alluding to, now they're like, here's that Matt guy again, you know,
Yeah.
and now it's like, well, crap, this is the second video he's recording for me, and he's going out of his way. So either they're going to feel guilty over not responding because you're putting all this work in the follow-up, and they don't know whether, the good thing about video is they don't know whether you're their only lead that you're following up with or their only client, or if you're one of 900, right? Because it's all manual.
Yep.
You know, and I think the clarity over.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in addition, my bad. In addition, we go back to the fame part of it and the brand. So we're sending these. Imagine a world where we're sending this video text, we're sending the Vidyard email or several of them, and then just by default, you know how you don't see. You're a Porsche guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you don't see one, and then someone mentions it, and then you're seeing a baby blue Macan everywhere, right? Like that. Yeah. That's just how it works. So we're sending the video text, we're sending the emails, and then we're also, another strategy that we took from you, Steve. We're having a lot of our agents on our team who produce and put out really good content, putting $5 a day behind their content. So now they're showing up on all these people's feed, who's reaching out in these specific areas as well. So that's how we just continue to be top of mind and build the brand and try to get in front of these people.
Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this today, and I'm not going to explain it. If for those of you guys that end up joining us in the premium membership and real estate operator in the future, when that is launched, it is not launched yet, but I will probe you a little bit right now. One of the easiest things that an agent can do for content follow-up. This doesn't matter what CRM you use. All it has to do is be able to connect with Zapier. Okay, so I'm going to give you the flow really quick. Matt, you should immediately after this call go do this. Again, it's simple. Somebody's probably said it before. 0 people in your market are doing this. 0 people in your market are doing this. So here's what you do. You have a specific field in your CRM. Lofty, HubSpot, doesn't matter. And it could say retargeting, not retargeting. That's it. Okay? So we have a lead in there. First name, last name, email, phone, depending on how they came in, and then a custom field, retargeting, not retargeting. We change the field to retargeting. That is going to trigger a zap that puts all that client data into a Google Sheet or an Airtable, right? Just use Google Sheets. It's free, okay? Mm-hmm. Everybody that's in that Google Sheet, when somebody gets added to that Google Sheet, we're going to have Zapier take that and add them to a custom Facebook audience, all right? That custom Facebook audience is only going to be follow-up video content that's like, if you're thinking about buying a home, I'm going to give you as many 1-minute videos as I can, just $10 a day, recycling these videos as much as possible. Then all of a sudden that client's like, Matt, I see your stuff everywhere. Cool. You ready for an appointment? Awesome. They go into that contact record. They change remarketing to not remarketing. That adds them to another sheet. That triggers a zap to remove them from that custom audience. So the only people that are seeing those retargeting are the people that are controlled by these. And I'm saying use Google Sheets. If you use like an enterprise level CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, Keep, Pipedrive, any of those, you can do this directly in the CRM. If you don't, and it works with Zapier, that is a very easy way for all of your leads. Put them in there, let that run, $10 a day, $300 a month. I know all of you listening to this podcast would gladly spend $300 a month for one more closing. This will, like the very thing that Matt just said, I feel like I see you everywhere. I see your content everywhere. That's really going to resonate. The other cool thing about a brand, and I have one specific instance that probably can illustrate this fairly well.
Steve, are you just gonna graze over that? I mean, that was some ninja shit that you just.
But like some people that are going to listen to this are going to like, hold on, I'm going to write that down. That makes sense, and they're going to say like, well, how do I do it? You know, just figure it out, or join a real estate operator premium. It's up to you. The technology right now, Matt, is so freaking crazy that like you could call everybody 3 times a day for 5 days, and that will work. 100% will work. But if you think about almost any other industry in our buying patterns, like I've been wanting to flip out. Like I have this weird dream that I want to leave Mac for Windows. I don't know why I want to make life harder on me. I just do. I'm just ready for a change. And so I almost bought a Surface Pro the other day, but there's some stuff that I use that's Mac specific. And I have like this weird, I replaced my camera. I went from Canon to Sony last weekend. I've been with Canon since 2014. And I literally feel like I cheated on my wife when I sold all that stuff. It's stupid. It's so freaking stupid. It's a camera. My neighbor, I just thought of this right now, worked for Canon for 28 years. 28 years. And he was laid off 2 years before his retirement was vested.
No.
This is it. And so, like, even that, I'm like, they don't even care about their 28 years. So why do I care about their... So we have, like, these emotional connections to things, right? The cool thing about a brand is when you over-index on that, it allows you to get to clarity quicker. And what I mean by that is that some of the, like, the early dating questions that we ask each other, they just don't happen because the brand took care of all of that, right? I had a client back in Phoenix. They wanted to buy this huge home in Mesa, Arizona. They came in, I think, off of a brand new Facebook. No, they were a referral. And, I vetted them on LinkedIn. He was an engineer, was very successful. His wife was retired, but she also had a very successful career. They were buying a multifamily. Not really. It was for their daughter as well. And I had a conversation with them. Everything was great, right? They knew all the terms. They were on home number 6. So they came out. We looked at all these homes at the time, like $1 to $2 million, which back then in Mesa, Arizona was like very, very expensive. And this went on, Matt, for months and months. And they just wouldn't pull the trigger. Then one time the daughter says, well, once all these investments season, we can go really quick. And I said, when you say investment season, what do you mean by that? She goes, well, when this whole, war thing ends. And I said, what do you mean war thing? And she goes, well, we have about $300,000 in Iraqi dinar, their currency in Iraq. I said, okay, well, all right, explain to me what that is. And she goes, well, there's going to be a currency reset. And my heart is just like, it's shrinking. I start getting like these shivers. And I said, okay. And she goes, well, when the currency resets, it's going to revalue at 80% of the dollar, which means your $300,000 in Iraqi is going to be like 15 million. He's like, no, 30 plus. And I said, okay, I'm no econ, expert, but if that really happened, there would be no way in hell people like you and I could get our hands on this currency. No way. The government would have all of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I go home and I do all this research, and sure enough, there's this whole subculture of people that bought all this currency that were convinced that, and obviously it never happened, right?
Yeah.
But that was not their fault. That was my fault. I should have asked, like, how are you paying for it? What's the because they gladly would have given me that info. I just didn't ask the question. I vetted everything else, but in the qualification, that never happened. So it allows us to get there quicker. Okay, I know we're going like super long on this. You've done this for a while, hundreds of transactions. Team is doing really well. Tell me the difference from a follow-up perspective. Like, what makes your number one agent number one, and then maybe compare that with an agent that like maybe was previously on your team, or maybe another agent that that maybe wasn't good with follow-up. Other than like the number of times they do it, what have you seen as like the number one separator?
I think it's mindset around these leads. I mean, I know it's mindset. It's we've seen agents come in and complain and say Facebook leads suck, pay-per-click, Google leads suck, and those are the ones that call someone 3 times and then convince themselves that they're bothering them and just trash them, right? our number one agent, like he is the number one agent because of his follow up, and he's relentless, but not relentless in like I'm going to knock your door down way. Relentless in a way that he is going to find out if you're his client avatar or not. He's going to find out one way or another if he can help you and if you're really in the market. Like we just said, you move into green or red. There's no one in the middle for our top agents here, right? They go in every single day knowing that they need to take certain actions, and their only job is to move these prospects to say, okay, these are moving to the next bucket, or these are going in, the archives, and we're going to retarget them. We'll market to them our own way, but it's not going to be our active daily activities. We're going to focus on these people. And I think there's just a mindset with a lot of agents, Steve, around, all right, well, if I filled something out and then someone called me 5 times a day, I would be really annoyed. And you might be right, but someone's doing it, right? Like someone is reaching out to, I promise you, these pay-per-click leads, these Facebook leads, you are not the only one who is getting that person's information as far as a real estate agent goes. So someone is going to figure out the right cadence and the right way to work it. And our top agents are just very, very, very committed that they are going to get an answer one way or another. And they're going to continue to come up with creative ways to reach out. For the agent that I'm talking about, we had one, this is a really good example. It doesn't always have to be, hey, you reached out, when do you want to see a house, this or that, right? Like, we know the areas that these prospects are reaching out regarding. So just 2 days ago, we have a town called Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Very, very close-knit community. Everyone knows what's going on. It's almost like a cult, and I mean that in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't live in Doylestown, you want to live in Doylestown, you want to be part of this crew. And so we get a ton of paid leads in that area, and so we have a ton of kind of dormant leads. And the other day they were talking about something like closing down one of the elementary schools, and in turn, that was going to create the largest elementary school in the state if they merged the two together. And there were so many differing opinions on that, right? So Our one agent took that article, made a green screen video about it, and said, hey, the town hall on this is tomorrow from 6:30 to 8:30. 1, let me know if you're going to be there. And 2, let me know your thoughts. Are you for this or against this? And he just sent that out to all of our leads who have registered in that area. And he got 3 appointments out of it.
I believe it.
2 were kind of bullshit, and 1 is pre-approved, and now he's working, and he's working with them, right? So it's just like, show that you're the neighborhood expert and you're here to provide value, even if it's not going and opening a door for someone right away.
If you said there's a whole bunch of stuff that you said there, right? So the thing that I keep hearing over and over again, and we talked about this in the team meeting the other day, is that if you know that somewhere between 2 and 4.5% of your entire market is going to move, is in the process of making a move right now based on any random subset of data, whether you have 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people in your CRM, at any given time, 2 to 4.5% of them are in the process of either making a decision around moving or moving as we speak, right? Mm-hmm. If I knew that to be true, and I think the example on the team meeting the other day, Matt, was Rochester, New York. His was like 2.15%, which is low, right? That's a low turnover market. But my point is like if you know your market is turning over at 2 to 4%, historic average is about 7%, but that's low due to interest rates and COVID and all that stuff. If you know that this is just a game of like every 2 out of 100 people or every 1 out of 50 that I talk to is actively, then why wouldn't you be looking at marketing sources that are as cheap acquisition as possible, not as bottom of funnel? Because let's say I want to do, 5 transactions this month. Well, 5 times 50 is 250 leads. Well, just due to the averages of the population, what is the cheapest way for me to get 250 people in my CRM this month? Not 250 ready, willing, and able cash buyers that are going to pay over list price in the next 15 days, but just 250 people in general that are open to hearing my message. Mm-hmm. I think, maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong perspective, but from marketing, that's the name of the game right there. How do I get as many people to understand that kind real estate is the only game in town when you think about real estate? The content that you just talked about with the school example, you'd think like, well, how do you set up? It's not that we have to say buy, sell. It's that when you think about the process and like, could you imagine, like, go back to the Porsche example, right? So let's say you're looking for a 911 GTS and you're driving, next to a Porsche dealership in Ambler, and all of a sudden you see that exact GTS in the window. So you go there, and it's even on sale. It's on sale for 50 grand off, and you're like, this is the greatest deal of my life. I can't believe, like, this is so serendipitous. I'm going to buy this. And the sales rep comes up to you and says, "Hi, my name's Steve. Would you like to buy a Porsche today?" And you're like, "Well, yeah, kind of." And he goes, "It's my first day, but don't worry, I've sold Honda Civics for 15 years. Even though you're in there, even though they have the exact car that you want, even though it's $50,000 off, that one thing, don't worry, I've sold Honda Civics for 30 years. Now you step back, right? Because now there's a lack of context. You're like, get to the point, Steve. When people believe that you're part of the community, you're invested in the community, I've been coming to Carlsbad for 30 years, every single summer, and I thought I knew it. When I moved here, I realized I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the schools. I mean, I did not know anything, right? The more that you can articulate that you are the guy or the gal for the market, that will do 80%, of that conversion for you, because they just feel like, this person has probably been places that I haven't been before. They've seen what I haven't seen. They've done what I haven't done. And I'm going to put my trust in them, when buying this home. Not because of the price or negotiation or the inspections, but they know, where we lived in Phoenix, an area called Arcadia, there was a street called 40th Street. And if you were on the west side of 40th Street, that was a totally different school district. If you were on the east side of 40th Street, there was like zip code envy. There was but the housing, you would never know. 41st Street versus 39th, the difference. They were the same homes. But like, God forbid you were at 39th Street or west of that, you were, the basic people versus, it was so freaking bizarre. And it all boiled down to, Matt, one elementary school. That's it. You were either part of that elementary school or, it's, so knowing that stuff, it matters. Okay. If I'm watching this right now, or if I'm listening to this right now and I'm struggling with conversion, and I just wanted to take one thing away from this podcast to at least get a little bit better with conversion. If there was one little nugget of everything that we talked about today, Matt, what would you tell an agent? Like, would it be the video text? What would be one thing that they could do right now to where you said, hey, if you just did this alone for a few weeks, you would see enough improvement to where you would keep going? What's the first thing that comes to your head?
I would say just figure out how to collect as many emails in your very specific target market as you can right now. Start there, and then get very, very, very comfortable on video. We tell our agents all the time, if there's a lift, right, we're going to go out. Like, we have a challenge right now, who can go get 100 new emails since last Monday. And I preface that with the team, if you're not totally comfortable already, or at least you're willing to get comfortable with positioning yourself as the perceived only option, which is going to require video, it's going to require you being the authority and really having the knowledge, then don't waste your time getting the emails, right? We can go figure out a business plan that's not going to be close to as great as this and give you the results that you like, but don't waste your time going and getting these contacts if you're not comfortable positioning yourself as the only choice in your neighborhood. So I would, 1, get emails, 2, get very comfortable on video, and just try. The next 20 text messages that you send a video instead of a text message, and see what kind of response you get.
There's one specific story that you triggered by saying that, and I even got like a little goosebumps thinking about this. I was in a valley, like peaks and valleys in the business. I was in a valley when this was maybe 08, 09, sometime around that time. I called Tom Ferry, and I wanted to move to California back then. I said, hey, can you give me a coach to help me move to California? And he goes, sure. Was never able to put that together. He was in growth mode, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward some time, and I'm in his office. We're talking about something. I was a coach for him during this time. And I was complaining something with the business. I was, probably not in the best of spirits at the time. And he goes, let me ask you a question. He goes, I know this is going to come out of, and this is a weird question for me now based on the journey that we're on. But he goes, if you had the cure to cancer, how many people would you tell? And I said, huh? And he goes, if you had the cure to cancer, how many people would you tell? And I said, well, I suppose as many people as I could. He goes, you would stop your entire life. And you would get on the phone, you would create video, you would door knock, you would get on stage, you'd call the president. Yep. If you had the cure to cancer, you would feel this moral, lifetime obligation to tell the entire population that, hey, I have this and let me give it to you. I said, okay, where are you getting with this? And he goes, until you feel that way with how you do real estate, you're never going to get to the number you want to get to. And that I will remember that conversation. There's probably a few dozen conversations in my lifetime that I will remember forever. That is one of them. And he goes, if you don't single-handedly believe right now that you are the client's best and only option to success, why in a million years would you think they would ever believe that?
Yep.
And, he said it much more abrasive to me than that. And I said, okay, I get it. I need to put in the work and I need to kind of rewire the way that I'm thinking of this, because I definitely was in a mindset back then of like, these guys are idiots. They don't understand. I've been doing this forever. I'm number 4, blah, blah, blah. It's not what you have and what you don't have. It's that you are not articulating and you don't have the belief system that you are their one-stop shop to everything. So for me, talking to you today, I took away 2 things. A, I think the video text is a no-brainer. I would do that all day long, even to the point to where if you're filming and you drop your phone and you pick it up, so I'm so sorry. It's like those little stupid disruption things. They're like, oh my God, did they really mean to like do that? That stuff works. I'm telling you, that stuff works. It's not about the polish. It's sure that the professional stuff matters, right? But the humor stuff matters too. Any way that you can disrupt that scroll is really important. So the first thing, I love the video text idea. I would do that till, for some of you are going to do video text only. And, that's totally cool. I think the second thing is like, as much as I don't want to give them credit, Zillow did commoditize home search, meaning they made it easy, whether the data is accurate, whether it's, on time or not. That's a totally different discussion. Yep. From a consumer's perspective, they did commoditize home search, right? So our value proposition has nothing to do in our ability to send them homes. We should still do that, but it has nothing to do with that. Our ability is the brand that we create. Remember, a brand is nothing more than how somebody feels about your product or service. It's not your colors, logos, all that stuff. It's how they feel about you, right? The easiest way to transfer that brand is just to deliver every single thing you know about the market that you serve, period. Events, what's coming in, what's coming out, where's the real estate market going, where's it been, what do you think's going to happen, why is this happening, high, low, everything in between. The more you do that, and listen, when they're interested in working with you, they will binge watch. They will do it. 100% they will do it, unless they're not thinking about that market, right? Okay. Matt, thank you so much. This is great.
Thank you,
Any
Steve.
parting words, any last words of wisdom before we cut everybody loose?
There's a ton of business out there. Go get it. Do your thing.
We haven't even gotten started yet.
Haven't even gotten started yet. Nope.
Okay. Love you all. See you guys on the next one.